Now, a while back, I made a video called Things Candidates Do That Drive Hiring Managers Crazy. And I made this video to help people saying, hey, don't do these things because hiring managers do not like it. And I received a comment that I thought was really interesting. Someone said to me, Ben, well, how about the thing recruiters do that drive candidates crazy? And I thought to myself, well, that probably wouldn't help you. Because how would it help you to know about all the annoying things recruiters do? As a recruiter, I can tell you, yes, recruiters do a lot of annoying things. But then I thought about it and I said, well, why don't I talk through some of the annoying things recruiters do frequently and why they happen? And in today's video, we're gonna cover just that. Let's go. Now, probably the most annoying thing that recruiters do is they ghost candidates. You talk to a person, you have a good conversation with a recruiter, and then all of a sudden they disappear. Poof, you don't hear from them anymore. And this can be incredibly frustrating and actually be really bad for a company to have someone be their representation and just ghost candidates who might be, good candidates who could be future viable candidates for the positions they are hiring for, even if they aren't. It's not a great way to treat people. So why does this happen? Well, I would say it happens for two reasons. The first reason is recruiters tend to be incredibly busy. One of the things that I've seen as a corporate recruiter is there is a tendency to load corporate recruiters up with tons and tons and tons of roles. I mean, if you're talking about 70 roles and you have 40 to 50 hours in a week, there's just not enough time to be efficient and do all the things you need to do for all of those roles. So one, it comes down to a time issue. Two, it comes down to a lack of barrier to entry. Just about anyone can get an entry-level job as a recruiter. There are no prerequisite skills. Anybody can do it. And because of this, you have a whole lot of people joining the industry who maybe aren't up to a certain level of professionalism. And one of the things that you're going to see, that lack of professionalism will manifest itself in not closing the loop with candidates. So that is why that happens. The next thing that is kind of similar, but also very annoying, is vague feedback or lack of feedback. How many times, show of hands, have you interviewed for a role? They tell you, hey, we're gonna move on with somebody else who is more suited for the role. Thank you for your time, thanks, but no thanks, bye. And you're wondering, well, I had a great interview and I think I really hit it off with the hiring manager. Why am I not being moved forward? That's a great question. And this happens for one of two reasons. The first reason is the recruiter genuinely is not given the information to give to you. They talk to the hiring manager goes, yeah, I'm gonna pass on this candidate. They say why, and the hiring manager, for whatever reason, does not tell them. Maybe they don't remember, maybe they just don't have time, maybe they just don't want to share the information with the recruiter. This actually does happen, and when that happens, they have nothing to share with you. The other reason is it really doesn't benefit the company to share with you exactly why. They could share you, they could share with you feedback like, you weren't as qualified or this person was more qualified, but there's no real benefit there. In fact, there could be a bit of liability. So sometimes they just avoid giving direct feedback because of that reason. One of the other things recruiters do that is so annoying is they reach out to you for a role that you are clearly overqualified for. This also happens for two reasons. One, sometimes recruiters will reach out to you for a role that you're overqualified for because they feel like you might be a good person to give them referrals. Maybe this was you 5 years ago and you know people who would be great for this role now, so they do that in hopes of you sharing that information. That's a bit rude, probably, if they're not clear and straightforward about that. The other reason this happens is that sometimes recruiters are just spraying and praying. They're sourcing a whole bunch of people on LinkedIn, sending a ton of messages, and you just happen to be in that. And they didn't take a lot of time to look at your profile, your skills, your experience, and your career arc, and they're assuming that you may be qualified, so they're just gonna send it. And if you don't reply, that's okay. Has a recruiter ever sent you the information for a job and they have your wrong name on there or the wrong position title, or it looks like this message was clearly meant for somebody else? The reason this happens is because recruiters send bulk messages. They do. They send bulk messages on LinkedIn. They send bulk text message campaigns. They send bulk emails just with mail merges. Some recruiters do customize, and that is going to decrease the likelihood of this happening and also can make for a much more intriguing message because it can be personalized to you, but obviously not all recruiters do that. So every once in a while, if you get a message and it's like, your name is Ben, and they're like, hey Jim, that's why. Have you ever got a message from a recruiter and you're like, hey, not interested, don't contact me, and then a week later they contact you again? Gotta be honest, confession time here. I have done that. And why does this happen? Well, recruiters are trying to fill roles. And if you are one of the people who is in the area they're looking for and you are qualified, they're probably not always going to be very easy to take no for an answer. Sometimes they try a few times. Another thing that could happen is the role has changed. So maybe they reached out to you 2 weeks ago, and since then there's been a dynamic change in the role that makes the role maybe more appealing. If that happens, they may absolutely reach out to you again and say, hey, I know we talked, but I feel like I gotta update you because this role is much more appealing. Those are the reasons why. Have you ever had an interview with a recruiter and this recruiter is talking to you, but they seem clearly distracted, not interested in you, and they're really not focused? If this has happened to you, I apologize. Here's why. Again, this could be one of those things where recruiters multitasking. They're talking to you, but because they are so busy, they're also sourcing in the background. That is rude. You can't really effectively multitask. Both of those tasks will probably be done in a poor way. The other thing is maybe they've gotten on the call with you, they're talking to you, and you have said something that lets them know clearly this person is not a fit. And they're not just gonna get off the phone with you right away because that might be rude. So maybe they go through the motions a bit before they end the call. Also rude, but that could be why it is happening. Also, am I leaving something out? If I haven't said something that recruiters do that you find incredibly annoying, please leave it below in the comment section. Another thing recruiters do, and this is terrible in my opinion, is overselling the opportunity. So they're giving you an opportunity, they're telling you about it, and they're selling it, and you're like, this can't be accurate. I think this is too good to be true. I think this can sometimes happen because recruiters, one, are under pressure to fill roles and bring people into conversation and ultimately present them to the hiring manager. So how do they do that? Especially in a competitive market, or if a candidate is a really great candidate, well, they want to sell the opportunity and they may have a tendency to exaggerate. That is why it happens. The last annoying thing that recruiters do here that I've included in this list, and believe me, I know there are more, but in this first list, the last one I have, is they try to get you to drop out of other opportunities you are pursuing and only focus on theirs. So say you're in the job market and you're interviewing with 3 companies. Totally, you're right. You should absolutely pursue multiple and see if you can find something that is a great fit for you. And this recruiter calls you and goes, yeah, I want you to look at this opportunity. It's really great. And then you're interested, but they say, I would like you to drop out and stop interviewing with all of those other companies. They're doing that because that is in their best interest and their client's best interest, but it is not in your best interest and you shouldn't do it. One of the most important questions that you're ever gonna have to answer in an interview is, what is your expected salary? So I made this video right here. You should go and watch this because I'm telling you, if you get this question wrong in an interview, you're either gonna get ruled out for the opportunity or you're gonna leave money on the table, and both of those outcomes are horrible. So go watch this video.